Hey, what's up guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Buster Blader test hands. So I absolutely love Buster Blader, and think this is probably one of the most interesting decks that's actually been topping recently, which is absolutely crazy to me because of Dragon Link running crazy in the meta. This deck is a total perfect counter to the entire Dragon Link combo, which is really crazy, and it works really well. Just being able to summon one monster and go full combo in this entire deck, which is really crazy. So I'm really excited, guys, to bring this one to you guys. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we got some awesome rewards you guys, like getting named scripts for every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So like I said before, this deck can go full combo with one card, which is absolutely crazy, which I'll show you guys at some point. If we don't draw it right off the bat, I'll show you guys the full combo. So it's really crazy what this deck can actually do, and I'm really excited for you guys to see live duels of this too. I'm going to be doing live duels of this on the channel as well against Savannah's Harpies. If it hasn't already hit the channel, you guys will be seeing that. It's just a little bit of a sneak preview unless it's already out by now. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually do after we pile shuffle this deck. Like I said, it's just a really fun overall deck, and there's a lot of different variants of this deck where you can play Dragoons in it. I'm trying to back away from Dragoons just a little bit on the channel because a lot of you guys commented on a poll that I put out there. It was like you preferred to not have Dragoons in deck profiles, so I kind of stepped away from it a little bit, but you can totally throw Dragoons in this deck very easily just by throwing in an Anaconda and a copy of Red Eyes and Red Eyes Fusion and Dark Magician, which is really insane, and it's really easy to be able to go into. So let's go ahead and see what we can pull off with the first turn. So we're gonna go ahead and draw a full combo. That's right off the bat. I didn't even mean to do that. That's really cool. A copy of Where Arfdal, a copy of Prologue, which is the other card that you're gonna need to go full combo, a copy of Instant Fusion, and another copy of Prologue. So this is how consistent this deck is. It's very consistent. So we're gonna go ahead and drop that copy of Instant Fusion. The copy of Instant Fusion is very important for this deck because you're going to summon out your copy of Millenniumize Restrict onto your side of the field, which is basically going to lock your opponent out from hitting any of your cards, which is really important because this card can gobble up hand traps and just stop them right off the bat, which is really cool. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon out the copy of the Buster Well, which you already have two of the cards that you particularly need. So at this point, you can grab whatever you want. I would probably grab directly out of the deck. This card can grab literally any card that has a Destruction Sword in its name. So you can grab from your deck to your hand a copy of the Dragon Buster. The Dragon Buster, the Destruction Sword, is really important for this deck. If this does get banned, it's not going to really hurt the deck all that much. You can still go off with this deck. It's just going to be not quite as good. So now at this point, you can activate the copy of Where Arfdal, and then you can add from your deck to your hand a copy of a level 1 monster. So when this card is on, if you control a level 1 monster, you can add one monster from your deck to your hand, and then during the end phase of the turn, you take 2,000. If you do not normal summon the added monster or a card with the same name after activating this, so it doesn't really matter what you add from your deck to your hand. You're going to take 2,000 at this point regardless, but you're going to kind of help yourself get set up for more plays. So go ahead and activate the copy or add the copy of Jester Confit, or you can add your copy of Buster Whelp. It just kind of depends on which one you feel like you particularly need for your particular play. So we're going to go ahead and add the copy of Jester because you're going to go full combo and your opponent's probably not going to be able to stop it. So we're going to go ahead and set this card and link these two away. At least link away your copy of the Buster to be able to get it into the graveyard is very important. But if you link both of them away, you can go into a copy of Needle Fiber, and the Needle Fiber can then activate its effect to be able to special summon a tuner from the deck, which can be your copy of your Txne Adahara, which then you can special summon out your copy of Jester Confit, and then you can link all three of these away to the graveyard to be able to summon out a copy of your Access Code Talker, or if you want to go into your Unicorn first, you could have your copy of Unicorn first, to be able to have an additional play just by going two of these monsters and then going Access Code Talker as well behind it. If you want to play Appaloosa in its place, you can play Appaloosa just to give you additional monster negates, but it's totally up to you what you want to play. You can drop out one of these and play an Appaloosa instead of playing 2 of them. I like 2, but you can drop 1 and play Appaloosa. So that's totally up to you. So you're going to go ahead and pass turn, and since you pass turn, you're going to, at your opponent's standby phase, activate the copy of Prologue. Now this is the very pivotal play of the entire deck. So Prologue's effect is going to activate and send a copy of the Buster Blader and the Destruction Sword Memory from your deck to the graveyard, which this is very, very important. By the way, this will target the copy of your Nightmare Phoenix or Nightmare Unicorn and boost it up to 5,300. It's very important. So these are going to go to the graveyard, and once they go to the graveyard, you're going to get to special summon from your extra deck a copy of the Buster Dragon. So once you summon Buster Dragon, you can then immediately activate and chain to it the copy of the Destruction Sword Memory, banish your copy of Buster Blader, banish your copy of a Dragon Monster, and banish your copy of the Destruction Sword Memories, and it will let you summon out the Buster Blader Fusion, and then you can quick effect activate the copy of the Buster Dragon to be able to equip the copy of the Dragon Buster to your copy of Buster Blader during your opponent's turn, and then they can't activate any cards to be able to special summon from the extra deck, and then everything becomes Dragon on their side of the field, and then negates all their effects and turns them to defense position. So you've essentially got a skill drain lock on your side of the field where they can't special summon from extra deck at all, which is really crazy, and it's making all the dragons cry, which is really funny. So it's really an insane play, and you had 2 of them, so you could really go off if you need to the next turn by sending another copy of your Buster Blader Fusion, or your copy of the Dragon card to the graveyard, the copy of Buster Blader, and a memory to the graveyard, which then you can banish again, summon another one of these, and summon another copy of the Buster Dragon, and you have plenty of plays to go off from there. So if you go into next turn and draw, you're going to draw in a mid-break field, which is going to help you out a lot to be able to protect you from card effects that are going to be targeting, which is going to be super helpful. 35, and then whatever the defense position, and this also inflicts piercing damage. Like, if you guys don't know what this card does, it's bonkers. What this card does is it lets you attack every single monster, it lets you attack a monster on your opponent's side of the field, it inflicts piercing damage, and then changes all dragon monsters' defense position, and this makes everything dragon. So if your opponent has 5 monsters on their side of the field, this goes up to 7,800 on your turn, which are on either player's turn, which is insane. It inflicts piercing, and even the cards in their graveyard, this gains attack points for. This card is insane because it has the ability, just to read it off to you guys, that this card cannot attack directly, which is its only drawback. It gains 1,000 attack and defense for each dragon monster opponent controls or is in their graveyard, and you change all dragon monsters opponent controls to defense position, and also their effects are negated. And they can't activate their effects either, and if it attacks a defense position monster, it inflicts piercing damage. That's insane. That's really, really good. So that's your first turn. It's really consistent, as you guys can see, to be able to just pull those plays off really easily. Again, if you want to drop your copy of the the reason I don't play Appaloosa in here is because this is essentially a lock anyways, so you don't really need it. The only thing that the Appaloosa would help with is if you don't establish that right off the bat. You can also play Borreload or Boral Sword if you want to play that, because a lot of people ask me for budget alternatives for those cards, but that's just basically what you want to play to be able to get out of playing Access Code, which you can. You don't have to play Access Code in this deck if you don't want to. So let's go ahead and straight off see what we can do for the next one. You could also establish Dragoons. When I had the copy of this on the field, if you were playing Dragoons, when I had at the beginning of the turn, when I had these 2, you could have linked these away instead of going for Access Code here. You could have linked these away, summon Anaconda, paid your 2,000 after you set your card, summon Dragoons, passed, and then establish your lock with the Dragoons and both your Buster Dragon and your copy of the Buster Blader, if you want to go that route instead. Totally up to you. 2 monsters on the field equals Dragoons, and any 2 monsters on your side of the field. I think I just shuffled in my copy of Millennium Eyes. Yeah, I did. If you want to summon out your copy of Dragoons, you can. You don't have to play it in the deck. It's pretty much powerful enough without it. But if you want to throw it in here, that's how you do it. Is you just go ahead and throw it in here, and you throw in a Bread Eyes, a Dark Magician, and a copy of Bread Eyes Fusion, and then you go off with that. So totally an option for you guys. Let's go ahead and see what we can pull off for the next one. Memories. You don't want to usually draw memories. Tenyi Spirit, 1 for 1, Jester Comfy, and a Destruction Sword Flash. So this is not the most ideal hand for this deck. It's still very consistent, but it's not the most ideal hand that you want to pull off, because you have to normal summon the copy of the Buster Whelp in order to get its play going. But you can still get some plays off here. So you can special summon out your copy of the Adahara, special summon out your copy of Jester Ko-Fi, which has the ability, a really simple ability that lets you if this card, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position, which you have to special summon in attack position. I special summon in defense position. And if it's summoned this way during your opponent's next end phase, you target a phase that monster your opponent controls and return both that target and this card to your hand. This card's really insane just to be able to get you additional link material. Then you can set your copy of Destruction Sword Memories, which lets you special summon a Buster Blader from your deck, which is going to be helpful, but it's not going to be the most impactful play. Again, this is where Dragoons would come in really handy. So if you don't have the Dragoons, you can link these away, and then immediately summon out your copy of Needle Fiber if you want to summon out the Needle Fiber, or you can summon out your copy of your Buster Protector Whelp, which is going to let you, if this card is link summon, you can send a Destruction Sword card from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can special summon a Buster Blader from your hand, but you don't have a Buster Blader in your hand, so the properly copy of Needle Fiber is going to be the more helpful of the two, to be able to use that to be able to go into a copy of the Buster Whelp onto your side of the field, which is going to help you out a little bit to be able to get it on your side of the field, which then you can just immediately special summon in defense and link these away, summon your copy of Unicorn, and then you can pass. Then you can activate on your opponent's turn the copy of the Destruction Sword Memories and summon out your copy of a Buster Blader from the deck, which is going to stack your graveyard, which is going to be pretty helpful to stack the grave. And then you can banish this from the graveyard to be able to special summon out your copy of your other monster later on when you have your other card on your side of the field. So then if you draw, you're going to draw into Upstart for Prologue set, and then you have your plays going again. As long as you can get to the Prologue, this is the most pivotal card in the entire deck. It's insanely good to be able to go off in this particular deck if you have the Prologue, which is just absolutely bonkers. But this deck is actually a meta deck contender, in my opinion. It's just so good. Like, this deck is just so good outside of Link format. Like, when it was Link format, this deck was like one of the worst decks ever, because you didn't have a Link monster that you could summon, and it was just so hard to actually pull it off. But I knew this deck had potential, and as soon as they did something, I was hoping that what they did was what they were going to do, where you don't have to summon Synchro Fusion or Xyz, which they totally fixed this deck just by doing that, and it just makes it so much better. So let's go ahead and see what we can pull off for the next test hand. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Foolish Burial Goods, Foolish Burial, Prologue, Buster Blader, and a copy of Jester. So this is totally fine. This is actually probably one of the better hands that you can possibly get. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Foolish Burial and Goods. You can activate either or, and I'm just going to show you guys what I'm going to send to the graveyard. So we're going to go ahead and send from our graveyard a copy of the Buster Whelp, and we're going to send from our deck to the graveyard a copy of Memory. Memory is very, 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 very important to get to the graveyard as quickly as possible, because you want to get your plays rolling. So you can go ahead and send that to the graveyard just like this, and then you can set your copy of Prologue, special summon out your copy of the Jester Ko-Fi in attack position, and then pass turn when your opponent starts. You can activate the copy of the Buster Blader, trap card, send your copy of Buster Blader, send a Dragon monster from your hand deck to the graveyard. Once you send these to the graveyard, you're going to special summon out your copy of the Buster Dragon. You can also link this away if you want to, and summon out a copy of the Linktribo, which would be kind of helpful to prevent your opponent from attacking if they get the chance. And then you can immediately chain again your copy of the Destruction Sword, send this, banish this, the copy of Buster Blader, summon out your copy of the Buster Blader Fusion monster right here, and then your copy of Buster Dragon states that during your opponent's turn, you can target a Buster Blader, once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can target one of your Buster Bladers you control and equip one Destruction Sword from your graveyard. So the first turn where you actually equipped it, it has to be in the graveyard. It can't be in your hand. So that's something to keep in mind, that it has to be in the graveyard. It can't be in the hand. I totally misplayed on that one. You couldn't have summoned this, but you still established the lock. But you still get this right here, which is still amazing. They can't attack you, essentially. They're switching everything to defense position, and everything's becoming dragon. So if you pass turn and go to the next turn, you're going to draw into another Prologue, which is going to get you another Buster Dragon, which is going to establish your lock even longer, which is going to be super helpful, which at this point, you could go ahead and link these two away. and then summon out a copy on your turn, a copy of the Protector Whelp, which is going to be able to target this and be able to inflict however much attack points this has, which is the really cool effect of this, that if your opponent controls no monsters, you can target a Buster Blader you control that did not declare an attack this turn, and if you do, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. So if this is sitting at 28, you're going to be able to inflict 2,800 points of damage to your opponent, direct damage, which is insane. And then during your next turn, you have the copy of Prologue that you can just turn off all their monster effects again by sending Buster Blader, and then any other card from your deck to the graveyard, which could be your Destruction Sword Flash from your deck to the graveyard, to be able to special summon your second copy of Buster Dragon onto your side of the field, which is going to get you an insane amount of plays, again, to be able to lock your opponent down. I mean, and at any point, they couldn't special summon from extra deck either, so they're going to have some really tough times, and then when you go into your next turn, you're going to draw, and this is, by this time, you're probably going to win, so you can attack again with whatever they have on the field to be able to kind of lock them down. So you have plenty of plays, and basically it all starts by just having Whelp. Like, Whelp is literally the single best card in the entire deck besides your copy of the Trap, because as long as you can establish getting these two cards, this 2-card combo right here essentially stops everything, which is insanely good in this deck, and I love it so much that this deck is so rogue and so fun to play around with, because it's so simplistic in what it's trying to do in making your field absolutely crazy. So basically, it's kind of like to be honest with you, it does one trick really, really, really well. If you don't draw into those, you kind of are in a bad position, but you play trap tricks as well. But as long as you have a dragon that you can link away and get in the graveyard, and you can send your copy of the Destruction Sword Memories, get Prologue, and get a copy of Buster Blader in the graveyard, you're totally fine. I mean, you should be totally fine. So let's go ahead and see what we can pull off for at least one more test hand and see what we can actually do. So we're going to draw a new copy of Destruction Sword Memories, Buster Blader, Instant Fusion, Foolish Burial Goods, and a copy of Mid-Break Field. Go ahead and activate that Mid-Break Field, and then you have your copy of your Instant Fusion as well, which, if you're going second, you could gobble up a monster if you want to, or you can just use it to do that right there, plop that right on the field. And then you can use your copy of Foolish Burial Goods to send from your deck to your graveyard a copy of the Destruction Sword Memories, which is going to get you a little bit of a deck thin a little bit, but it's not going to super help out a lot because you already have Destruction Sword Memories. If this was Prologue, you'd be fine, but you don't have Prologue. So you can go ahead and set this on your side of the field, link it away, and then you can go into a copy of Link Rebo, and then you pass. Now, this is when the deck bricks. I'm going to tell you, this deck does brick sometimes, and this is a dead hand, essentially. If you draw for next turn, you're going to draw into another Buster Blader, and at this point, you have nothing to do, and you're probably going to lose. So you have hands that you're going to run into like that, where something like top tier, like full power with block dragon at Emancipator consistency is going to outspeed you, and you're going to have a problem. But if you can establish, like I've said, if you can establish that copy on your side of the field of the Buster Whelp, you won. I mean, it's pretty much game and set if you can get the trap and you can get everything else on your side of the field. I mean, it's just, they're so overwhelming that you just can't do anything. So we're going to go ahead and draw for one more test hand and see what we can pull off. Monster Reborn, Dragon or Wizard Buster, and a copy of Instant Fusion. I don't know how I keep drawing this. It's a one of in this entire deck. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. So if you go ahead and have this hand, you can go ahead and activate the copy of Instant Fusion again. Grab your copy of the Millennium Eyes. Normal summon out your copy of the Wizard. Link these two away to the graveyard. Summon out your copy of, say, you can send from your deck to the graveyard. Yeah, you can go ahead and link into the Buster Whelp or Protector Whelp. And at any point you have the copy of Called by the Grave as well that you can stop your opponent. Then you can send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of the Buster Whelp from your deck to the graveyard, or you can send from your deck to the graveyard since you have, that's a spellcaster, it's not a dragon. You can send your copy of Buster Whelp. I'd probably send that. You can special summon out the copy of Buster Blader from your hand, and then you have the copy of Monster Reborn, which will get it back on your side of the field. And then if you want to, you do have a Link. Well, you don't have a Link Rebo in your graveyard. You can link this away first for Link Rebo, and then you have the Link Rebo in the graveyard. Then you can link these away, or synchro these away and go into Borreload Savage if you want, or the copy of the Buster Dragon, and then you can special summon back your copy of Buster Blader, and then still everything's coming out as a Buster Blader on your side of the field. So you still have plays. You still have a lot of plays. If you actually, instead of sending this from your deck to the graveyard, if you would have sent this from your deck to the graveyard, you could still establish a lock, because during your opponent's turn, you could actually equip this to the copy of the Buster Blader, because this would equip it to it, and you legitimately synchro summon this, so it's going to stay on the field indefinitely, and then you can inflict damage to your opponent. So they can't special summon from extra deck, but they still get their monster effects, which is still going to kind of suck. So then you have this on your side of the field. You can send something from deck to graveyard during your next turn, which then could be your copy of, let's see, now you can send the Buster Whelp from your deck to the graveyard and still go off. So this is a little bit less powerful, but you still see with the copy of the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, you still have some plays going off. And as you can see, this deck is super powerful and ridiculous. So that's it for this deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy these test hands. As you can see, it's super consistent and still pulling off insane plays, and it's just a really fun deck to play around with. And I don't know how budget is, to be honest with you guys. I know this has been printed as a common, but I think the Dragon, or the Buster Dragon, is pretty expensive, but everything else is not super expensive in the deck. Maybe if they reprint this, it'll be budget. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely hit that bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. And tell me how you play your particular Buster Blader deck. Do you prefer it with Dragoons or without Dragoons? So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.